What's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Draft Day Dynasties. I'm C. Jackson Cowart, the community manager here at Wolverine Studios, and I appreciate you joining us for the 29th episode of Draft Day Dynasties, and the 8 episodes showing off Draft Day Sports College Football 2023. If you haven't seen any of the previous episodes in this series, you can catch up on all of those on our YouTube channel, and you can always catch us live every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, as many of you are doing now, on the official Wolverine Studios Twitch channel. I'm pretty excited for this episode. We are going to be wrapping up the depth chart portion of this series. Last episode, we set the offensive depth chart, not the offensive depth chart, though I guess that might depend on who you ask. But this time, we'll be getting a little defensive as we set our depth chart on the other side of the ball. I'm pretty excited about this San Diego State Warriors team. Last season, unfortunately, for those of you who have been following since the beginning, we did finish the season 0-0. It was a bit of a frustrating campaign, but we had one of the best recruiting classes in the country, and a lot of that talent was on defense. So I'm very excited to dive in. I haven't even really looked fully at this roster. I'm familiar with it, right? Anybody who's been watching is pretty familiar with a lot of the guys on this unit, but especially the way that the freshmen come in and kind of integrate into this overall roster, and just some of the gains that our players have made on defense. I'm really excited to dive in and fully see what we have going on there. If you are joining us as well on the live stream, please say hello. I know there's a few of you that are regulars and a few of you that are becoming regulars, which is obviously an exciting thing to see. So if you are in the Twitch chat right now, go ahead and say hello. Give me a little wave emoji. I'm always suggesting a wave emoji. I don't know. Maybe this time you could give me. Is there a raccoon emoji or like a panda emoji or something? I don't know. Just whatever emoji you feel like fits. Your spirit. If you could just toss your spirit animal in the chat, that would be great. But I'm definitely gonna lean on whichever one of you are in the chat this week. I loved having you guys weigh in on the offensive depth chart last week. It honestly is incredibly helpful to me as somebody who probably hasn't played some of these games as long as some of you. I know some of the people in the community have been playing, especially the college football and pro football games for as long as I've been playing the college and pro basketball ones. So definitely love leaning on your guys' expertise there. And I like relying on you guys more than I do my assistant coaches because, look, they have their strengths of their own, but I have certainly been foiled a time or two by my AI-controlled assistant coaches here. So love to have a little bit more human intelligence factoring in. We already have Rascal HS, Rascal with a Z. I just want to make that clear to everybody. With what I don't know what that emoji is. It's a wave emoji, but I don't know who that is. That a celebrity, Rascal? I might have to have you weigh in there and let me know what that emoji is. But I appreciate you kicking off the emoji fest here, and any of you that are watching silently now on the chat, would love for you guys to weigh in. So we don't really need to take a look at the offensive depth chart because I wrote it all down and I haven't actually put it into the depth chart yet. And if you really want to see that, you can just watch last week's episode. So I think we are going to start. First, let's go to the staff screen, and let's just familiarize ourselves with what we're trying to do defensively. So we brought in Gail Buffington this offseason. Yeah, that is the Mr. Gail Buffington. You guys may be familiar with him from his work at... I don't actually remember where he coached before, but now he is the defensive coordinator for the San Diego State Warriors, and he runs a 3-3-5 hybrid defense. I love to see that. I love the 3-3-5 defense. Really, I love any defense that gets... there's two things I love about it. One, I love any defense that gets more secondary defenders on the field, right? So more safeties, more cornerbacks. I think if you can control the passing game, I think you can control the entire flow of the game. So love to see 5 defensive backs on the field at all times. And then I just love any defense that's going to throw a wrinkle, right? The 3-3-5 it's not a 3-4, it's not a 4-3. Anything you can do to just kind of introduce chaos on the defensive end, I'm absolutely a fan of. I also love that, particularly with Mr. Gail Buffington, the onus is on the safeties in his system, and he prefers mixing up coverage. That is great for San Diego State. That honestly is one of the reasons that we hired him, because we do have such incredible safety depth and talent on this roster. So I really think that we're going to be able to make some waves with Mr. Buffington and our defensive personnel. He wants defensive linemen that can help in run support, and he wants to field versatile linebackers. I think we're certainly going to be able to accommodate both of those needs, and we might even toss a safety or two in at linebacker, but we'll just see how that goes. Bill Dozer in the chat said hello, comma, and then he's tossing out the football emoji. I love it. A very fitting on-brand emoji from the OG, Bill Dozer. Bill, love to see you in the chat. Love to see your updates every week in the Discord. You had an awesome one. You had that stat that the teams that you've been running in your pro basketball league have made the finals basically every single year. I don't know if I've ever seen such a well-integrated humble brag into hashtag Franchise Friday. So really love to see that. If you're not already following Bill Dozer's updates every single week in Franchise Friday, highly recommend it. He's running teams in really all these games. He's got a team competing for the title. I know you have a Utah one right now in the college football game. So, yeah, love to see that. Or is it Utah now or is it Washington State? I'll have to go back and check. But anyway, Bill, love to see you here. And now that we know what Gail wants, right, he really wants to put the onus on his safeties, and he wants versatile linebackers, and he wants linemen that are good in run support. So that is incredibly helpful for us as we're setting this initial depth chart, which, of course, obviously this could change, right? If players start outperforming what they look like on paper, then you got to be versatile. Bill says it was my Sonics team and my and my Nuggets team, and the Nuggets were led by Jokic, and then Westbrook after. Man, love to see Westbrook actually leading a team to the finals. No disrespect intended to one of the more unique players in NBA history, but not my cup of tea. All right, so I guess we start from the inside out and from the front back, right? So let's start with defensive tackle. I think that makes the most sense. And let's see what we have at our disposal. I'll pull up my handy-dandy notepad here. I mentioned this last time, but if you are like me and you like to, really kind of plan these things out, which, look, if you're playing a Wolverine Studios game, I imagine you're probably a little bit like me. Highly recommend just having, a pen and paper, or in my case, a digital pen and paper, handy as you're setting these depth charts, as opposed to trying to look at this screen and then go to the depth chart screen, or try to set it from the depth chart screen without having this at your disposal. I just highly recommend just having, a note or any sort of separate thing just to keep track, and then you can go to the depth chart and fill it all out. So that's what I'm doing right now. And as we're looking at the defensive tackle spot, we really only need one here, which is good. I don't think our defensive ends are very strong, so maybe we'll want to use two defensive tackles and use one of them out of position. But for now, I think we just need to focus on having one defensive tackle. And it kind of looks like that might be Roger Griffith, right? So he has the highest overall. He's not the strongest guy here. In fact, he's pretty weak relative to the other guys in the room here. He's 6'4". Everybody else is the same size there. He's 310. These guys have a little bit more weight on him. He just doesn't really have that strength that you would expect from kind of a traditional nose tackle type, which really is what we're looking for in this 3-3-5 defense. But here's where he separates himself, right? He has the highest intelligence of anybody in the room, so that's good. And he has by far the highest tackling of really any of these contenders here. I know Ted Sullivan is down here as an option as well, but look, his strength is just not on par, and I don't really think that he's going to be the one that we ultimately choose. So looking at Griffith, he's quick, right? He's got 65 speed. I'm not really picking my defensive tackle so that he can win a 40-yard dash, but he can get upfield a little bit. He is the best tackler. He's the smartest guy, and really the only knock against him is he's not quite as strong as these other players. He does have high endurance too, which is good. It means we're not going to have to be subbing him in and out. And even though he's a freshman and Johnny Goldman is a senior, Griffith has the highest skill of these top three, and then Woodruff coming in with that 90 skill and that 88 strength. But look, he can't tackle to save his life, so I'd be a little bit concerned having Woodruff in any sort of reasonable role. Also, he is injured with what I presume to be, questionable with fatigue. So, yeah, I'd never like to see that. So this is kind of a tough call between Griffith and Goldman. I think those are really the only guys that I'm going to go for here. I know that Isbell is stronger than those guys, but he's not as smart, not as good of a tackler, definitely slower, and not as skilled. So between Griffith and Goldman, I kind of lean the freshman here. I think, I can't remember who said it in one of the previous chats, that if you ever have an opportunity to have a 4-year starter, that they like to take that opportunity and let them grow in the games and over time and, eventually have, maybe we're looking at a 90-plus overall for Griffith. That might be a little bit ambitious, but who knows, right? Maybe that is the type of player that we're looking at here. Work ethic suggests that maybe that's not quite what we'll see, but it is always attractive to have a 4-year starter if you can. So I think Griffith is going to go ahead and earn the nod here. One thing I do like to do anytime there is kind of a tiebreaker situation is just go ahead and check their personality traits, see if there's anything there. Woodruff does have that nose tackle trait, so that is good to see, but man, I just can't get past the fact that he is really a terrible, terrible tackler, and I'm just a little bit worried about having him, especially if we're trying to emphasize run support, having him in the middle of our defense. So I think the answer here is Roger Griffith, so I'm just going to go ahead and mark him down here, but then Johnny Goldman really is kind of a 1B situation here, and I really don't mind having him in some of our sub packages. I don't really think there's anything that he does better, though. So I don't know, for example, pass specialist, anything like that. I think we probably just keep Griffith in there for, run specialization downs, passing downs. I think Griffith's probably the guy. And then in that third spot, it probably should be Woodruff. Between him and Isbell, it's pretty close, but Woodruff is clearly more skilled. He's clearly stronger. And look, I know he can't tackle, but I kind of want to play guys for what they can do as opposed to what they can't. And Woodruff can do like 4 things better than Isbell. So I think Woodruff is going to get the nod there, the third spot. And then Dave Isbell coming in there in the 4th spot. And Ted Sullivan. God, you got to get in the weight room, buddy. I think Ted Sullivan might be looking at a red shirt in his near future. So, all right, that is defensive tackle. Was not a strength of the team last year, and is certainly not a strength of the team this year. But I think we'll be all right there. I think that's a spot that we should be able to make work. All right, defensive end. This is where things get a little bit hairy. I'm not the biggest fan of defensive end, just like as a position. I think it's probably the least important position on the entire team, if you ask me. I know others might disagree, and obviously that's scheme dependent, but the defensive end in a 3-3-5, look, you missed me with that. All right, I'm not really super concerned about this spot. So I really just want to get guys that are strong and can tackle, and look, if they have a little bit of pass rushing upside, I'm down for it, but I'm not really expecting much. So last year, Salvador Morris and Errol Usher were the starters, and then Tom Tate and Edwin White were behind him. So now James Fairchild enters the mix, and we might as well at least see what he brings to the table and see if maybe he deserves one of these starting spots here. Killer 35 Durant, love to see you. I know you were in the chat last week. Love to see you back here. You have added what appears to be a barking golden retriever emoji, so I really appreciate that. And said, my DEs are the most important. Guys who can get 7 to 11-ish sacks a year make the defense a great one. Now, that's a great point, and maybe I should clarify. A great defensive end can change everything. I'm totally with you. If you have good defensive ends, that, like you said, that can make the defense a great one all on its own. But if there's a position that I'm willing to skimp on, it's defensive end, right? If I don't have elite talent, and certainly, unless we learn some crazy things about James Fairchild here in the next few minutes, I don't think I have a great defensive end on the roster. So I'm kind of willing to punt here a little bit. I mean, I'm almost tempted to kick over Johnny Goldman to one of these spots. And maybe we should see if he is qualified to do that. It doesn't really look like he is. He would have 50 positional skill here at defensive end. So I don't really think that Goldman is ready to make that move. So I think we'll just stick with what we have. But yeah, looking at what we do have here, I mean, I'm just not super impressed. Killer 35 Durant, maybe you can kind of give me a sense here of what you see on the board. Bill, I know you're in the chat. Rascal, trying to separate this kind of just messy group here. So I think we can rule out Edwin White pretty safely. He does have the player skill here at the position, but he can't tackle. And, his strength is okay, but I don't think it's enough to jump him top the depth chart here. And look, the agility is sorely lacking here for somebody that really doesn't bring anything else to the table. And then, Brantley can't really tackle, and he's not strong, and Van Buren, same deal, right? There's just nothing intriguing about any of those guys. So I'm going to pretty safely toss all of them to the bottom here. Edwin White and Brantley and Van Buren. You guys are probably not going to see the field this year. So it's between the top 4 here. And Killer 35 Durant says, Usher not looking too bad. Strength looks good. White also has the speed and strength combo to make some solid pressure. Fairchild is probably the safe choice. Bill says Bill Dozer says nobody has speed. Maybe look at agility and hands. Then he says, actually, nobody looks great. Yeah, that's kind of how I feel too. We're definitely going to choose between one of these 4 guys. So agility is a wash, right? Fairchild has the least agility there, but he does have the speed to make up for it. So agility's kind of a wash. If we're looking at strength, that might end up being kind of the determining factor here because we are looking for run-stuffing ends, run-stuffing defensive linemen. That's where Errol Usher kind of jumps out to me, and that's what Killer Durant was saying. He's not looking too bad. The strength looks good. He's the only guy in this room with 80-plus strength. So, honestly, he has the highest strength rating, he has the highest agility rating, and the highest tackle rating. What's wrong with the guy, right? He's slow. So I'm not expecting him to get many sacks, but that's fine. Again, we're running a 3-3-5. I'm not necessarily expecting a lot of the sacks to be from my defensive line, and my defensive coordinator is not expecting that either. So he doesn't quite have the highest player skill, but really nobody does other than Tate. So I'm kind of thinking Errol Usher might end up being the starter here. He's not the quickest guy, so I think a left defensive end might make more sense for him. And then if we can figure out one of these guys that has at least a little bit of pass rushing upside, to me that looks like it would be either Morris or Fairchild. And between those two, kind of looking at their traits here, I'm not really... It's kind of tough to separate the two. I mean, Morris is the more skilled guy for sure. Maybe we bring in Fairchild because he does have that terrible endurance. Maybe we bring him in on 3rd down, right? So maybe he is just kind of a pass rushing specialist. Not that he's even really that special at that, but yeah, this is just kind of a tough room. Killer 35 Durant says Fairchild will also have more growth with playing time. That's certainly true. That player skill is low, but I would anticipate that to pick up. He is a freshman, so I do like to see that. He does have a lot of time and room to grow, like you said. But yeah, I mean, I don't think Tate is necessarily the answer here. But maybe he is. I mean, if we're just looking at 2 run-stuffing guys, right? Those 2 are definitely the strongest. Tate does have the player skills, so I feel like he's going to be able to seal the edge there. And, he's the best tackler. So maybe Tate should get more consideration. Maybe we just run too deep at this position, honestly, because all of these guys can make a case here. Fairchild, I think, is probably the most well-rounded. He's the smartest guy. He's the only one with real speed, and that kind of makes me think that Fairchild should be the choice. So I think I'm going to go with James Fairchild here. I think he's going to be the right defensive end. I think backing him up is going to be Salvador Morris on that side. Go right defensive end here. And then I think Tom Tate should be the one that's backing up Errol Usher. Those guys kind of have a similar profile. They both have the strength there and the high tackling ability to go ahead and set the edge on that side. But neither one of them really has much pass rushing upside. And that's where Morris and Fairchild come in. And I think that they should be able to kind of handle the job there. But look, I'm not really that enamored with any of them. So I guess we'll just have to see how that goes along the way during the season. Try to figure out a way to get these guys some decent snaps. Maybe I'll just set 2 packages and try to get these guys kind of a 60-40 split and see what happens there. But not super excited about anything we have going there. Killer 35 Durant says, make a pass rushing 3rd down package with the faster guys, and the normal D has Morris and Fairchild. That's actually a pretty good idea. Set that as a note here. Do a package with Fairchild. And yeah, right. I think Fairchild and Morris should be kind of the speedier guys, and then Tate and Usher should be the ones that are starting based on that strength and high tackling ability. So I think I'm going to do that. I think I'm going to go Fairchild and Morris for pass rushing. I like that. Good call. Good idea by Killer 35 Durant. And look, I don't really like having packages that are going to script what we're doing, but really that's only an issue on offense. On defense, like passing down, they know we're coming. So I like that idea. I think that is a pretty smart call. All right, let's go to linebacker here. Really what we're looking for is versatile linebackers. We want linebackers that are going to be able to hold their own in the passing game, maybe do a little bit of blitzing, and maybe, I don't know, basically do anything, right? Bill Dozer, just back to the point on the package, says, I agree, you can sub the speed package more often in long yardage. I think that's a really good idea. So for linebackers, man, I think it's pretty obvious that Bruce Spicer is going to be the guy. That dude is ridiculous. He is, okay, so he's not strong at all. So that is a problem. Not sure if he's going to be able to shed blocks very well. But highest agility in the room, by far. Among the fastest guys in the room. Stoll's a little bit faster, but he does have decent speed. 91 tackling, so he is not messing around. Just about the smartest linebacker in the room as well. And 95 skill. This dude's a freshman. This guy is legit. Look at that. And competitive as can be. I absolutely love to see that. Does he have any traits or anything? No, he doesn't. He's a defiant loner, so I guess that's not super exciting. But actually, I forgot to check on defensive ends if any of these guys have anything set them apart. Usher, look at that. Bull rusher. There you go. Congratulations, Usher. You have won the job. So, all right, going back to linebacker here. Let's see if we have any traits here. Oh, this is super interesting. Okay, so 3 of these guys are coverage linebackers. It's Goad, Mercier, and Stoll. So when we go back here, are any of those guys good enough to play? Goad and Mercier certainly are. And then Stoll is kind of sitting back there. That's great, though. So Glover is going to have to earn his spot there. Because if we can have 3 coverage linebackers or 2 coverage linebackers and then Spicer, who has the speed and the skill to be able to play in coverage, I love to see that. I think we're actually going to have a pretty good linebacking room for like the first time ever. So I'm just going to go ahead and slide Bruce Spicer into this spot here. There's really no question about it. He's the guy. He is absolutely going to be the starting middle linebacker. And then for the outside linebackers, we're going to have a decision to make here. So I think, man, this is going to be tough. We're going to have to choose 2 of these 4. And man, this is going to be really tricky. So let's rule out the guys down here. Let's make sure that none of these players are fit for the job. Brown, yeah. You know what? All these guys are just too slow. Straight up. I don't think they have it. Don't think they have it in them to play at this position. They don't have the skill. They don't have the speed. They don't have the tackling. These guys are not it. So we can pretty much rule all of these ones out. In fact, I almost wonder if we should just go ahead and redshirt pretty much all of them, right? So Brown, Buckley, DeVito. I don't think any of those guys are actually going to play. And I don't think I really want them to, because we do have a pretty deep room here. So I'm going to redshirt all of those guys, or I'm going to plan for it at least. Killer 35 Durant said I could definitely add Stoll to that speed package. That is certainly true. If we're looking for a pass rushing package, Bernard Stoll does have the speed to make an impact on the edge. So I'm actually going to make that note there. Speed 84 pass rush package question mark. So maybe that's Stoll's job. Because when you look at the rest of Stoll's game here, does it do what we want to do here? He's got 65 tackling, so it's certainly inferior to the other guys that we're choosing between other than Mercier here. He's not strong. He does not have the agility, so that's a little bit concerning. Intelligence, pretty much the same across the board for everybody. Like we already mentioned, not a great tackler. He does have that speed, and the skill is just okay. So I'm pretty sure Stoll was among the coverage guys. Yeah, it was Goad, Mercier, and Stoll. So, there's a case to be made that he could get this job, but let's see what we have with these other guys. So we're looking at Goad, looking at Mercier. I mean, you can't ignore that 85 tackling. It's pretty ridiculous. And he's got the speed to make it work. He's not the most agile guy, and he's not that strong, but look, you're telling me he's an 85 tackler and he's got an 89 skill at the position? I think I found my left outside linebacker, right? I think it has to be him. So I'm going to go ahead and slide Jonathan Goad into that spot. And I'm going to go left outside linebacker there. I think it has to be. If you're that good of a tackler and you have even decent speed and and decent skill, and he's certainly got more than that in the skill department. I think it's got to be him. So now we're looking for a right outside linebacker. Killer Durant says, yeah, Godin Mercier is the outside linebacker, so Stoll is the pass rush specialist. It's a good plan. Those guys can tackle. I agree there. So now we're looking at the right outside linebacker. I think Mercier makes a pretty good case. It is interesting, though, to think about Bernard Stoll as that kind of every down right outside linebacker because of that speed. We know that he can somewhat handle his way in coverage because that is his trade. He's a coverage linebacker. I'm a little bit worried about this agility, though, about him being able to keep up in coverage because of that. The intelligence is pretty much the same. Tackling is a little bit lacking, but man, that speed kills, as we know. And when you look at him versus Mercier, right? Glover's not the specialist as a coverage linebacker that I'm kind of hoping for. He does have the lowest intelligence here. I'm not quite sure if Glover is it. Glover's kind of just a decent heady linebacker. Makes sense. He's a senior, decent skill, high tackling, but if we're looking for that right outside linebacker, I'm not sure if he's it. So if we're choosing between Mercier and Stoll here, let's just go ahead and sort by something that we can get these guys back to back. I don't know. Wade's probably not going to do it, is it? Mercier and Stoll? No, I don't think it is. What can we get them back to back here? Intelligence, 64 and 62. There we go. Okay, so we're looking at these guys stacked on top of each other. Strength is the same, that's fine. Mercier is definitely going to be more agile along the right side, and that's really what we're looking for. We're looking for a right outside linebacker here. So he has him beat there. Going to be easier to get around the edge. I do like that, especially if we're going to be playing him a decent amount, which, hey, maybe we're going to sub a lot, so maybe it won't matter. But he has the edge there. And then everywhere else, it's pretty much a wash. Stoll obviously has that speed advantage. I guess he has the skill advantage, and he's going to be out there a little longer. Man, it's really agility with Mercier, huh? That's pretty much it. I think we bring Stoll in there every down. He has the endurance to do it. I think he's earned it. I think the seniors earned the spot. I mean, I love the idea of bringing him in just on passing downs, but we can bring him in also on passing downs and the other downs, right? I think Stoll's probably the best option here. The only other guy that we could do is Glover, but I think we kind of let that ship sail. I don't know. Yeah, Killer Durant says Stoll is a beast. To have that kind of speed on that side, I mean, that especially with how bad our defensive ends are, I think it'd be pretty interesting to have Stoll in there as kind of a blitz-focused guy. So I think we do that. Olin Mercier, I'll bring him in as, the backup right outside linebacker. I think that makes sense. And then on that left side, Raymond Glover, he's kind of overqualified for a backup left outside linebacker, but I think we'll be fine there. I think that makes sense. And then we'll just try to split our time. Actually, Glover might be a decent backup middle linebacker. That might end up being the play there. Spicer is obviously the guy. But then, if we get Glover, he's not quite as smart as I would hope there, but he is such a good tackler that I think having Glover as the backup inside makes a lot of sense. And then, how many linebackers do we actually trust? That's pretty much it. So Glover can kind of moonlight between mid and left there, and we have a lot of versatility there, so I think we'll be able to make that work. So that seems good to me. And then those other guys, just completely ignore them because they're absolutely awful, and hopefully we never have to play any of those guys. So that sounds good. All right, let's go to cornerback here. This is a fun room. It's not as deep as I remember, just in terms of pure volume. I guess we only have 6 guys, so probably not going to be a lot of redshirting going on. But I do like the talent here. All right. So Timothy Bailey is one of our incoming freshman studs. And let's see if he's really earned it here. So he has the 85 overall, which indicates to me that he's the best guy. Let's just check the personality first. Okay, Timothy Bailey has that probe. Oh, this is Champ Bailey's son. That makes sense. I completely forgot that we recruited Champ Bailey's son to be on this team. Young Timothy. Absolutely love it. Pro bloodline, high work ethic. So if he's a freshman starter right away, I mean, we all know where that can go. So that's definitely interesting. William Ferry is a fierce competitor, but that's really only relevant if he's also a good competitor. And I don't know if he's super talented. So might not be a lot of playing time for William Ferry. But Timothy Bradley here. All right, let's see. What is he doing to earn it? So 78 agility. The highest on the team at the cornerback position, but it's not stellar. Intelligence, none of these guys are very smart. He's a good tackler, though, which is pretty interesting. Physical tackler. Don't always expect that from the cornerback position. He has 80 speed, so that's better than everybody other than Lund. And he's not very skilled. I don't know. What am I missing, guys? I mean, that's solid, right? I mean, the speed is certainly solid there. But I don't know if I'm really seeing, like, elite corner pop off the page. But he probably deserves to start at the very least. To me, I still think that Albert Lund is CB1. Just with that, I mean, that 92 speed is just absolutely ridiculous for Lund. He does have a year under his belt as a starter. He has that high-level agility. Same thing, not the smartest guy, not the most skilled guy, and he certainly can't tackle for anything, so that's not great. But I kind of think Lund is still the number one guy that we want tracking top receivers on the other team. And then I think Timothy Bailey on the other side, on the weak side there, I think that's probably fine. And then for our third corner, probably got to be Nunez. He's super skilled, and the only other guy that has even comparable skill is just too slow. Really, Clark and Zeke Forte are both too slow to play at this position. It really is just Nunez and Ferry. Nunez might actually be too slow to play at this spot too, but he can tackle decently, and he does have that high skill level, which I like to see. Between Nunez and Ferry, it's kind of a tough call. My gut says Nunez. He does. I just feel good about his intangibles at the position, especially relative to Ferry. But, I can't say I feel awesome about it. So, Killer Durant says, yeah, very top-heavy in terms of the cornerback position. Yes, Lund, for sure, CB1. That's how I feel. That speed is just ridiculous. He says, y'all really know how to rope a Broncos fan like myself in with Bailey. Well, hey, look, I mean, we recruited him because we like Timothy Bailey. It had nothing to do with trying to lure you into the stream, but I certainly don't mind. I think it's going to be Nunez and then Ferry, but I feel like those two could certainly flip at some point. I'm going to put a little 1B next to Ferry and a little 1A next to Charles Nunez. And I think I'm going to put like a 1Z next to Calvin Clark. I don't want him to ever play. If we could just keep him off the field, that would be great. And then Zeke Forte, can't redshirt him because he's already redshirted, but he is already out with fatigue. So not super worried about him climbing up the depth chart here. Bill Dozier says, I think speed is the most important for CB1. There are so many factors that go into decision-making for setting the depth chart. I'm working on my depth chart right now at Utah State. Bill, I'm curious, when you say right now, do you mean that in a general sense, or do you mean literally right now? Because I love the idea. I know a few of you have mentioned in the forums about when you guys are watching the streams every week that you're playing alongside setting your own depth charts and doing that. I love that. I don't know why I never thought that that's like the perfect thing to do, the perfect accompaniment, almost like a second screen experience. Hopefully your depth chart at Utah State is a little bit deeper at some of these premium defensive positions than ours at San Diego State, but I'm guessing probably not the case. I'm going to check personally just to make sure I didn't miss anything. Yeah, William Ferry is that fierce competitor, but I don't think that's enough for him to jump Nunez. But again, I don't feel great about either of these spots, and to be honest with you, we might even just toss a safety into that spot, which is a pretty good segue into our next position. Bill says literally right now. Love it. Love it. Keep setting your depth chart. If you need to post a screenshot in the Discord to get some help on that, let us know. I'm sure that you wouldn't be the only one interested in trying to make the decisions there. All right, free safety, man. George Conley coming in hot. Look at that, 87 speed, 74 tackling. He has the best speed and the best tackling of anybody in the safety room. He's the strongest guy. He's not the smartest guy, and I don't mean that offensively to him or the Conley family. I'm sure they raised him well, but from football smarts perspective, he's still working on it. But, man, I love everything else I see from him. And he's a workout fanatic. Done. Locked in. Signed, sealed, delivered. George Conley is the starting free safety. No question in my mind. Last year we had Raymond Stowe. He was a beast. 90 agility, 93 skill. But George Conley, I think, is going to slide in and fill his shoes pretty admirably. I think he is the guy here. Don't think we need to do any sort of packaging there because really, a running down, passing down, it is George Conley. In terms of the backup here, that's where things get a little bit trickier, all right? I love Zuniga. Zuniga's been around 3 years now. And, decently fast, right? Decent tackling. Definitely the smartest guy in the room. Decent agility. He's just decent across the board as a free safety. Doesn't have any skill, traits. His actual skill level is okay. I'm wondering if Franklin Whelan can make any sort of run here as the backup free safety. He does have the size for the position. He's got 97 skill, 81 speed. He's got that high intelligence, too. One of you guys, either Bill or Killer Durant or anybody else in the chat, tell me why Franklin Whelan should not be my backup free safety. Because I kind of think he should. I know he's a freshman, but he's by far the most skilled, and he's the fastest of the guys left, and he's the best tackler. And he's basically the smartest guy. So, he doesn't have the endurance, but look, he's a backup, so I'm not really worried. And if he comes in, we have the depth behind him. I think I'm going to set Franklin Whelan as my backup free safety here. Got good hands, too. Yeah, he does. He's got decent hands. So, I kind of think it's him. And then, that's crazy to say about Miles Zuniga is now the third stringer. And Leandro Passmore, look, just doesn't have the speed, doesn't have the tackling, doesn't have the intelligence, really nothing there to put him over Zuniga in my mind. So I think Zuniga is above Passmore, but I kind of think that Whelan is above both of them. Bill says Zuniga has better hands and agility. Whelan has better speed and positional skill. Yeah, Zuniga has better hands and better agility, but just kind of barely. And then Whelan just blows him out of the water in the skill department. Speed, I guess just barely, but 6 points in the speed department is pretty huge, in my opinion. I think it's Whelan. I got to go with Whelan here, and then maybe Zuniga might sneak into one of our bigger packages, try to get him some time. But look, we got two freshmen here. I'm tempted to redshirt Whelan, but Conley's going to be around forever, so I think we just use Whelan while he's here. Strong safety, we are equally stacked here, if not more stacked. Norman Gamble comes back for another ridiculous season here. Last year, he finished with 0 tackles and 0 interceptions, but I think he's going to do better this year because I'm actually going to be active, and the season will proceed accordingly. Gamble is a team captain, and there is a reason why. He's the center fielder trait, which if you couldn't tell that he was a center fielder just by his 89 speed and his 98 skill, hopefully that trait gives you an idea of just how freaking ridiculous he is. 70 intelligence, which is pretty solid for this position. Doesn't have the highest agility, but look, when you're that fast, you don't need it. So Norman Gamble is the answer. I don't think there's really any questions about it. Bill Dozier said playing your own recruits at a new school is also more fun. That's a great point. I don't even really feel like these are my recruits because I just kind of lucked into it, but that is a great point. Setting the culture here in year 2 at San Diego State. Got to play my own guys. So for our backup strong safety here, this is a tough call. So last year we had Harry the Hammer Heath. Absolutely loved him. He was just a punishing tackler, 80 tackle. I think we played him a linebacker. But he's gone, unfortunately, graduated with the rest of that, the lost class, if you will. So William Maxwell comes in here, and he is ready to play right away. 84 skill level, so pretty solid to see from a freshman there, especially at a position where, in my opinion, high skill level is pretty important, especially in this 3-3-5 defense. Decent tackler, on par with everyone else. Decent speed, on par with Couture. He's more agile, he's stronger, which, what does that really matter? But he's smarter, right? So you're looking at him and Couture, they're both young. He's more skilled. He's more agile. He's stronger. He's smarter. I mean, to me, it's Maxwell. This is another situation, though, where we could potentially redshirt him, and this would actually be a position where that would be beneficial. The thing is, there's so much crossover between free safety and strong safety. If I really wanted to, I could probably just bring over Franklin Whelan. So this is tough, but do you really want to redshirt somebody as skilled as William Maxwell, especially in a 3-3-5? Probably not. I think we probably just, bring your best guys out there. Like, this is, it's college football, right? Like, we have, 22 players that we got to, or 24, including special teamers, that we really got to rely on at all times, and we have that massive roster. Like, I don't think I need to be cherry-picking red shirts. I'm curious what your guys' perspective is on that, though, and what your philosophy is. Do you guys redshirt players that you feel like would actually contribute to you this year because you're trying to save them for a year down the line? Or do you only redshirt players that you feel like are not going to be contributors but may be contributors down the line? I've always historically, when I'm playing games like this, I tend to be kind of an aggressive redshirter. I tend to redshirt basically anybody that I don't think will be a starter. But I kind of think I might be wrong there. I don't know if that's really the best way to build a winning team. So, curious what you guys do there. Bill Dozer in the chat said Gamble's trait is eccentric teacher. That is great. Gamble is an eccentric teacher. So, he is wanting to make everybody else around him better, but in the most bizarre way possible. So, love to have him as our team captain. Just eccentrically leading our group. I think I'm going to roll with Maxwell here as the backup. I think I should just use the talent while I have it. I also don't know if I'm even going to be here in 4 years, so why do I care about redshirting someone? So, I think we'll just go with it there. And then Robert Couture, pretty easily behind him. And then Zane Homan just doesn't really have the speed or the tackling that's really going to have him pop off the page. Player skill, nothing about him that I'm super excited about. So, that's what we're doing with safety spot. And then, gosh, is that it? Just down to kicker and punter? Let's go kicker and then end with punter. Our starting kicker, I think, should be Randolph Gibson. It's kind of an interesting competition between these two. So we got two freshmen. And this actually probably is a potential redshirt situation, especially because Kimmel went and got himself hurt. He's out 2 weeks with fatigue. Come on. That's ridiculous. Gibson is a clutch kicker. Man, that tells me everything I need to know. He's got the bigger leg. They're both equally accurate. Kimmel's a little bit more skilled, but I think the answer is Gibson. He's healthy, so, that's important. Redshirted last year, learned everything he needed to know about the position, and I feel pretty good about that. And unfortunately, Stephen Kimmel, you are not going to play. I'm going to redshirt you. I'm mad at you for being fatigued as a kicker during training camp. You're out 2 weeks because you kicked too many balls in training camp. Unacceptable. Honestly, I'm tempted to just cut Stephen Kimmel right now. But I don't think that would be good for the morale of the team. I don't think they'd be really happy with me if I overworked everybody in camp and then cut the people who were too weak to play. But come on, he's a kicker. A freaking kicker. All right, Randolph Gibson is the starter. Pretty easy call there. And then at punter, what the heck? How do I have 3 guys here? What happened? And 2 of them aren't even, the seniors aren't even going to play. Man, I think I went a little hog wild at the punter position. I don't know if I've ever seen a team with 3 legitimate punters. I wish I could trade one of these guys for a left guard or something, but don't think that's how that works. So, I did redshirt. I think I redshirted Jack Foster last year so that he would have 1 more year of eligibility so that they could enter this punter logjam. But it doesn't really matter because Ted Willie is pretty clearly the best guy here. We'll see if there's any traits. Craig Moran is a clutch kicker, but he's also a punter, so I'm not really that concerned about that. Actually, should one of these guys be my kicker? Because my kickers suck. Maybe Craig. Craig Moran? He's got the huge leg. What's his kicker skill? Ugh. He is not skilled at all at the kicker position. I'll tell you what, though. I think I'm going to make him a kicker. Because why would I need him to be my punter, right? If we're looking at the punters available, all right, Willie has got a big leg. Oh, actually, this is interesting. Why is he an 85 overall and Moran is an 80? Looks like Moran is the better player pretty much across the board. I'm trying to understand what might have put Willie above him, but if you guys have any ideas, help me out here, figure this out. I mean, I guess Willie's a smarter kicker. He's faster, but again, like, they're punters, so I'm not super concerned. Moran's got the bigger leg. Moran's got the more accurate leg. Willie's got 99 endurance, but, you know, I guess if Moran gets tired, just bring in Willie. And Moran is, like, way more skilled. And he's a clutch kicker. So, I don't really know what I'm missing here. To me, it seems like Moran is probably the guy. He was the 6th best punter out of Hawaii that year. So, you know, if that's anything interesting for you. Ted Willie, I mean, are there any red flags here? I don't know. I mean, it's kind of a red flag to shave your beard like that, but other than that, I don't know. I mean, endurance, is that what we're valuing these days in punters? He's a thoughtless loner, so I don't know if that's really going to get him any. That's probably a good thing as a punter, right? Just stick to yourself. Don't think about it too much. Just go out there and kick. So I do like to see that. Local kid. But I kind of think Craig Moran's earned the opportunity to kick his heart out for one more year. And I think I'm going to give it to him. I think I might redshirt Ted Willie. Here we go. That's what I'm going to do. So we got 2 clutch kickers. Love to see that. So Moran, clutch. Jack Foster's the backup. And then Ted Willie with a planned redshirt. If anything happens to Moran, look, we'll probably just break the redshirt on Willie because Jack Foster kind of sucks. Jack Foster, he's got to be an Australian punter, right? Is that a Virginia? Yeah, we're going to go ahead and change that. Where's he at? Select new high school. Loading high schools. I'm probably going to break my computer trying to do this. All right. Search. How do I... Can't search Australia. Can I search by state and find Australia? No, just a lot of Alaska and Alabama. Maybe international? All right, you know what? He's from Virginia. That's fine. He was born in Australia, but him and his family moved to Virginia when he was young, and that's just how it's going to be. So, good on you, Jack Foster. You are now the backup punter, and Ted Willie, you're too young for your own good. Sorry, buddy. Craig Moran's getting the job. All right, I feel pretty good about that. I think we have a pretty refined setup here. Go to the depth chart. I don't know if I really want to fill this out right now. I could probably just fill this out off screen. Have it all written down, but Bree says the Golden State Warriors are in CF23 now, LOL. If you're referring to our team being star-studded as those Golden State squads, I appreciate the compliment. I feel pretty good about it. I mean, I don't think that this isn't quite the starting lineup, but this is a decent approximation. I mean, we got 80s overall pretty much across the board on offense. And then you go back over to defense, and let's see. I mean, I already know that it's not going to be Woodruff. It's going to be Mr. Roger Griffith here. And then this is going to be Mr. Johnny Goldman. But you look at this, you know, with, instead of Usher. I'll do all this later again. But Tate and Usher, and you got, man, they want to put Gamble at middle linebacker. That is, pardon the pun, but that is certainly a gamble. I think we have better options than that. Man, these coaches are pretty bizarre. But they have Zuniga and Homan in there as the nickelbacks. I think that's probably the right call. But yeah, we got like 80 plus across the board. I mean, I'm feeling pretty good. Like, I think we're going to have a decent team this year. Maybe just in these last few minutes. And then we'll cut this one off a little bit early as we finished our depth chart next week. We'll just hop right into it, right? We'll do a little bit of game planning. I'll go into some of the game planning options. I'm not going to go super heavy next week, but we'll do... Actually, maybe next week will be recruiting. How about that? I think that makes sense. So next week, I think we will start our recruiting board. We'll fill that out. We'll know this time that it'll actually work. So So we'll see the fruits of our recruiting labor. And then if we have some time, we'll game plan for week 1. But that might be the next week's episode, is getting fully ready for week 1. But as we're winding down this episode, let's just look and see what the rest of the country thinks about us. Get some bulletin board material here and just tell our guys just how disrespected we are. So power ranking, see if we can even find us. Are we highlighted? No, we're not. All right, we're going to have to search for San Diego here. Okay, so they have us they have us power rated at 23.75. That is not great, Bob. That is absolutely not great at all. They think that we are really bad. And I guess I can't blame them. We did go 0-0 last year, but look, so did everyone else. So I don't really feel like that's our fault. But, okay, let's go to magazines. I know I've looked at this in previous episodes, but I, again, just want to shout out the dev team for putting together this little media package here. I think it's one of the more underappreciated aspects of the game are some of these auto-populated magazines and publications that are put together. So we don't need to look at the recruiting preview just yet. Well, I guess we can, but I don't think we're going to learn anything here. Certainly none of these players really want to play for us, so not super concerned with that right now. But let's look at college football preview guide, right? Are we going to see anybody here play for us? I don't think so. Let's go San Diego. And no, they certainly do not. So the media, for whatever that entails, thinks that we don't have a top 100 player. They think that we don't have a top 100 quarterback. Certainly. Well, not top 100. That'd be a little aggressive. But they don't think we have a quarterback that's worth mentioning. They don't think we have a running back that's worth mentioning. They basically think that we are not worth mentioning. We go to the conference preview here, and we find our conference. I believe that we are in the... What is our conference? The Rocky Mountain? Yeah. Okay, so they have us picked to finish 6th in the conference. They think we have the 6th best offense, 5th best defense, and for some ungodly reason, they think that Vincenzo Martell is our best player. Look, maybe he is, right? Vincenzo Martell is getting all this pub. I don't see it, personally. I'm not sure that Vincenzo is really going to capitalize on all the expectations that people have of him. But look, maybe he is. Maybe he is a quiet star. And Norman Gamble, man, he deserves more credit than he's getting. In fact, I'm curious, when we're looking at this college football preview guide and we're looking at strong safeties, is there any respect for Mr. Norman Gamble? San Diego? No. None at all. Bree says Dante DiVincenzo in college football too. Yeah, I know. It's his long-lost cousin, Vincenzo Martell. Oh, man. So we are thoroughly disrespected in the media. But that's fine. That's what we're used to. Not really expecting anything else. Yeah, no prestige change or anything like that. So that's what we got. But I feel pretty good about it. I think on both sides, offense and defense, we're littered with 80-plus talent. And really, I mean, this entire season is probably just going to come down to Mark Berry. And whether we're really getting, solid, productive play out of our redshirt senior quarterback, or whether we end up turning to the intriguing redshirt freshman George Prince, who's slightly more accurate, definitely more skilled, and to me just brings a little bit more dynamism potentially to this offense. So we'll see. I'm pretty excited for this season. Appreciate you guys helping me set the depth charts. Breeze is saying time to make Steph a quarterback with 99 throwing arm and accuracy. No Steph Curry, but we got a Mark Berry. No Rick Barry, but shades of Rick Barry. It's actually Rick Barry's third nephew, twice removed. But I'm feeling pretty decent about this squad. I think we got a shot. So appreciate you guys helping us set the depth chart. Again, we are solid on offense and defense. I'm going to go ahead and set this off screen here, get all this plugged in, make some of those packages that we talked about. And then next episode, is the recruiting episode. I think we're going to dive in again. I know we dove in a couple episodes ago. I think maybe that was like the third or fourth episode. And yeah, we recruited the lost class, unfortunately. But hey, some of those guys that we targeted on that initial board, we ended up getting. So I do kind of feel like they were my recruits. I did isolate George Prince out of Oregon, rep Grants Pass. I'm not from Grants Pass, but we did get guys like George Prince, stuff like that. So I feel like we had some influence on that. But this time, we are going to fully go through the recruiting experience week by week, starting with our preseason week 1 board. So that should be a pretty fun time. And then if we have any time, like I said, after that, we will start to game plan for our week 1 opponent. I think we're playing Winston-Salem again, a makeup for that lost season. So that should be a pretty fun one. All right, a few things before we go. First thing, I say it every week. If you're tired of it, you know how to stop me saying it. Go ahead and subscribe. I'll tell you what, if I get like 15 subscriptions, I'll stop saying it. But until then, subscribe to our Twitch channel. If you have Amazon Prime, you get a free subscription just by linking it with your Twitch account. So why not use it on us, right? We really appreciate it. Helps out the dev team. It helps out me. It helps out really everybody, the entire community, to just help build this community little by little. So if you haven't already subscribed, definitely do. If you subscribe, send me a screenshot of proof, and I will share with you the best beach spot in San Diego. All right, I have a t-shirt of it. I tell all my friends, I tell all my family, but I'm not telling you until you subscribe to our Twitch channel. Second thing, don't forget to post about your teams and careers this Friday, #Franchise Friday on Twitter, Instagram, Reddit, Discord, Slack, and the original forums on WolverineStudios.com. I saw we got a little Twitter action on #Franchise Friday last week, so that was fun. Appreciate you guys who were using the handle there. Would love to get that trending, or even just micro-trending. That would be super fun. But love to see your guys' updates there, especially on some of these massive fictional leagues that we're seeing some of you guys build. Some ridiculous stuff going on in the community. Absolutely love to see it. Honestly, it's super inspiring to see some of the leagues that you guys are doing. It gives me, and I'm sure others, ideas of leagues that we could do on our own. So definitely continue to post about that. I know some of you in this chat, looking at you, Bulldozer, you guys are regular posters, so I absolutely love that. I appreciate it. I look forward to it. I really do, every Friday. So #Franchise Friday. Don't forget about that in a couple days. And if you have any ideas for videos that you want to see, or you have any other questions, or you just want to chat about Wolverine Studios or football, or you want to chat about Champ Bailey and his son who's now playing cornerback for the San Diego State Warriors, you know where to find me on Twitch and Twitter @CJacksonCowart, on our Discord server, or anywhere on the Wolverine Studios forums. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time.